We'll get the camera right here where you got a really good view of it, and I do too, so that I can go back and watch it later. We'll crank the saw and let it warm up real. Wire plugs. I'm gonna bore the saw over here. I want to make sure that it's good and hot on another stick of wood that I got real quick, so I know that the saw is ready to roll there. Alright, let's swap. Alright, so I'm not sure how this is going to feel because how it's going to pull, but I'm finna give it a whirl here and see what she does. This thing may suck me slap into this tree. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. All right. So just thoughts without timing it. I hadn't timed it yet. I'll do it when I get in the house here in just a minute. I don't think that cut faster than my chain right here that I worked on. Now that chain over there is brand new out of the box, but it's ready to rock and roll. So, but I do know this, I do like the Suji bars a lot. There's that Stihl bar right there is a very nice bar, but it's hard to beat. It's gonna be hard to beat that chain right there with the that I've worked on. Worked on the gullet. Now that one right there is not necessarily had the gullet like what I would take out of it, but it's supposed to be ready to rock and roll. But I don't think I could feed the wood to that chain like I could to this chain right here. That chain right there is right. I mean, it is that's a cutting son of a gun right there. So it'll be interesting to time it and see what it does. I may be completely wrong. That may be that one right there. It just didn't feel, it wasn't as smooth as like what this chain right here is. So I don't know, we'll time her. I'll do it when I'm doing editing, and then come in behind it on my edits and talk about it a little bit. So not sure about the chain. Of course, I might be able to work on that chain a little bit more and get a little bit more out of it. But I do like the bar though. I like the bar a good bit. That bar, to be honest with you, that bar right there is a good bit more. The bar is like 105, I think, shipped, than what this bar is. But this bar here is 10 ounces heavier than that bar is right there. So when you're running a saw all day long, weight is a big factor on fatigue and stuff like that. To me it is. Some guys it may not be. They may not care. They just want the heaviest thing they can get. But with me, I don't necessarily need the lightest thing, but I like something that I can just keep on running all day. So we'll see. I'm gonna mess with it here a little bit more. Okay, let me give y'all some details here of what I was doing. The first chain that I run, that's a 20, both of them 24 inches is what they were. 50 gauge full chisel chains. The first chain that I run is the same chain that I used to race David Breeden with Husqvarna the other day with where we were at the climbing competition. That chain is an Oregon chain. That chain is a 72 LGX is what it is. That is the numbers on that chain. What do I do to that chain? I have a video where I show how to sharpen chains and how I get them razor sharp. Now, I don't get into the extra details that I do as far as how I work the gullet. I've never showed that. I never show how I do that. I will one day, because when you get into that, you get into some more advanced sharpening there, and it's a little bit, a little bit different file, different size file that I use on that right there. And I like to try to keep it simple for people to be able to cut well. So I just use a normal Oregon file holder that cost about $10 to do my normal filing with. And then I swap to something else to cut the gullet out with. I've got the rakers. Some people, they can be called 3 different things. They can be called the rakers, and this comes straight from Oregon now too. They can be called rakers, they can be called drags, or they can be called depth gauges. I have those perfect on my chains there. So that first chain was a 72 LGX. All right, so the second chain that I run on the Suji bar, which is what I was planning on running against David, it's from Stihl. It's a Stihl RSLK square ground chain. And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed in that chain when I pulled it out of the box. I expected the square ground chain straight out of the box to outdo a chain that I had worked on and had filed to perfection. I felt like for what it was, it should have done that. It did not. I've got 4 loops of that square ground chain. I've got 2 24s, and that was a 24 inch that I was running right there too, 84 drive links. Got 2 24s, and I have 2 20 inch on them that I have. I bought 4 of them. And my plan was, well, I ordered a set of Stihl files to file the square ground chain with, a dozen of them. I still haven't got them yet. I'm going to call them today. I had to think about it last night. That's been about right at 2 months ago. I still don't have those files yet. I do have 2 files from Bailey's. I also have an A-top file guide that I got from Bailey's too to file the square ground stuff. Now, I am pretty confident that once I work on the square ground chain, that I can make it outcut my round file chain. Now, I've watched a lot of videos and seen a lot of stuff, and I've looked at the numbers. And of course, I'm a YouTuber just like these other guys. They're YouTubers. And oftentimes you can make things look more so than others. So, you know, I don't know. But that's just my good old country boy, Mississippi way right there. And that's the findings that I got right there. Now, I will work on it. I'd like to have those Stihl files, but if I don't, I'm going to call them today and I'm going to see what the deal is, and I may end up getting my money back on them. But so here's the thing, the file, the square ground, what it takes to file it compared to what I can do the way that I file the round chains. And then the other thing too is comparing them is if you hit something with that square ground chain, say you bump the ground or you cut through some metal, that chain that I was running on the first one on that Husqvarna bar, which is an Oregon bar, that's who makes that bar, is Oregon. That is the same chain that I cut through. We cut through 4 nails over at David Breeden's house, cutting those trees down. He was running my saw and my chains and or my chain, and cut through 4 nails over there in those 2 trees when we were cutting down. That's the same chain. Now, the square ground stuff, I have hit some stuff, it's very unforgiving in those terms right there. So the trade-off on it, the pain of sharpening that stuff, because it is not that easy to sharpen. It takes a lot more time to sharpen it. But I'll dig into it more. I wanted to put this video out right there and show it. But so that's the deal on that. So hope all y'all have a good Thanksgiving week this week, and all that good stuff. Oh, and remember, I said in that video, and that's the gospel truth, that Suji bar is 10 ounces lighter than the Oregon bar, the Husqvarna bar. And that weight's a big deal. Those Oregon bars have been being built since probably over 30 years now, and they hadn't changed a bit. Still the same way that they were 30 years ago. But did you notice something else in that video, and I'll cut it off? Did you notice how well that Suji bar was oiling? That thing was crazy. The Suji, that's a good bar, very good bar. They're a good bit more cost in them, but I feel like they're worth it in the long run. The nose on it, once you run them in that, they pour the grease to them, and once you get that grease out of them, if you'll take that bar off, that ball bearing system that they got in them is like silk. I mean, it's as smooth as silk up there. I mean, so appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch y'all later. Later, taters.